Welcome to Oyate Today. Oyate in Lakota means people. Brought to you by Native Sun News Today. Hi, welcome to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Oyate Today is produced by Tim and Jackie Gallego. Tim is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Our guest tonight is Mr. Donald F. Montileaux, Zinkala Z, Yellowbird, an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe as well. I want to thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Montileaux.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Very, very special guest of ours tonight on the Oyate Today show. So I'm very appreciative of you being here tonight. So, well, for one, let's jump right in. And I understand you were inducted into the 2014 South Dakota Hall of Fame in the Division of Excellence in the Arts.
Yes, I was. That was a real outstanding honor to be inducted into them. The one thing, though, I've received a lot of awards in my lifetime, but this is the one that I really, really wanted, because not for myself, but for my granddaughters, because we do a lot of things over on East River, over in Sioux Falls and stuff like that. And I wanted them to have that opportunity to say to their children, your grandpa's in the South Dakota Hall of Fame. And so I really wanted it for them. So
that's a very special grandfather indeed, definitely. Can you tell me a little bit about your 2006 Best of Show, Best of the Division award that you received, and what that means to you in your life?
You know, like I went to school in Santa Fe, New Mexico in the late 60s, early 70s. And Santa Fe Indian Market is really internationally known as the place to be to showcase your artwork. And I've shown there quite a few times, but in the year 2006, I received like the Best of Show and the Best of Division. And when I walked into it, it's the preview showing, and I walked in with my wife, Paulette, and I looked over there on the wall and I seen this blue ribbon, and I just I just felt great, you know, because I got a blue ribbon, and I told my wife, and I think I hollered it. I says, Paulette, I got first place, you know, and she says, well, there's another ribbon there. And I said, no, I got first place, it's a blue ribbon. Because, you know, all those years of trying to be first place in Santa Fe just kind of all came out with me, you know. And I didn't even worry about the Best of Division. That was nothing. First place was the one to get, you know. So, yeah. So it was extremely.
What was that piece called? Do you remember?
It was called Running Through the Coup, because I have two warriors, and they're getting ready to go into battle, and they're running right in front of a bunch of teepees and camps, and the women are out hollering encouragement, you know, and the older men are out there singing victory songs. And so that's what it depicts on a ledger piece that I do. Of course, you know, I'm known for my ledger work, so.
Sure. Where's this piece located at then?
Well, you can only buy the piece at 7 o'clock Saturday morning. And since it was a winning piece at the preview Friday night, I had this gentleman, he was kind of standing around. He said, can I help you? And it was early, you know, it's still dark outside, you know. And so I thought, well, yeah, you know, you can do this and this. And here he was a representative of the University of Boston. And at 7 o'clock, he said, this is my piece right here, by the way. And he bought it, you know. So he was there to buy that piece at 7 o'clock in the morning. Wow. So it's now hanging at the University of Boston.
Isn't that something? Very special. Could you tell me a little bit about your work with the Native Pop program here in Rapid City, the People of the Plains?
Yeah, you know, it started off, you know, the sculptor that's out here in the middle of Main Street Square is Yuki. And when he got his funding for that sculpture piece, he also wanted to give a lot to the community. And one of the things was he wanted to make a show. And so he contacted the All Fine Arts Center. Sandy Swallow was sitting on that committee at that time, and she told me she said I was either dumb or something. She said, but I raised my hand as a volunteer to do this show. And she contacted 10 of us, 10 artists, you know, to be a part of her show. It was the third weekend of July on a Saturday, one-day show. Sure. And she just put her heart and soul into that show, and she was really working on it. First time, you know, she didn't know a whole lot about it, you know. But it evolved, and we just got done with our 5th year, and now we're at 50 artists.
Wow.
So we have a good committee. We have a committee that's made up of Native people as well as non-Native, you know. And they're all so instrumental in putting that show on. They just dedicate, we're all volunteers, and there's a number of us that do it.
Yes, that's awesome. I really enjoy Sandy Swallow's work as well.
Oh, she's great.
Well, your latest work is a book, a children's book called Muskrat and Scum.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about this book and some of the journey to bring this book to life?
Well, I have it.
Yes.
It's right here, you know. And what's really cool about this book is that it's a traditional story of ours, you know, the Lakota people. And it was given to me by Alex Whiteplume. He's a storyteller on the Pine Ridge, and Alex and I go back quite a ways and everything. And Alex, as an elder, when he gave this story to me, he says, I did another book which is called Tushunka with Alex as well too, but they never say, do you have time? It's always like, sit down. I want to share something with you.
Sure.
And so he shared this story with me. But it's a traditional story, but it's also the story about how we acquired the drum. Wow. And how Mother Earth's heartbeat comes through our drum traditionally when we beat that drum. And Muskrat and Skunk, they're just players. They're just characters, you know. And that's the hard part, is to develop from this ugly little muskrat into something that's going to be really ideally. It's like Walt Disney when he had this little ugly mouse that was running around the corner and he developed into Mickey. Yeah. You know, well, that's what, as an illustrator and an artist, is so hard to do, is to get that animal into a character. Sure. And to show that character where he's friendly, he's kid friendly. The children's going to love him. So I always believe if I can do something that the children want, that's going to make you a rich man, because the people their parents are going to have to buy it for them.
Right. Yes. Could you tell me a little bit about the story then, and about how the drum actually came to the Lakota people through this story?
You know, first of all, you know, like Muskrat, and this is going to be really, really condensed down. Sure. You know, it's already condensed, but it's going to be condensed more. But Muskrat was walking down a stream early in the morning. It was a bright, sunny day, and he went across the stream over the top of a hollow log. And as he walked across this hollow log, he heard his footstep going thump, thump, thump. And he thought, man, that sounds so cool. So he went and he got himself a stick and he started beating on this hollow log, and thump, bam, boom, you know. Sure. Just erratic, you know. And all of a sudden Skunk heard the sound, and Skunk liked it. So he came over, he got a stick. He starts beating on this drum too as well, you know. I mean, this hollow log as well. And the little birds, they all come. And when the story said little birds, I could just see all these little birds, and especially like the grouse, you know, and the prairie, you know, they're all dancing and everything, and their feathers are fluffy, you know. And I thought, these are birds. But I made them colorful. I made them reds and yellows. And I always have in mind the children, how the children are going to see these things. You know, don't make them realistic, because the children don't want to be challenged when they want to try to draw birds, you know. Yeah. And the rabbits, you know, they all come and they're all dancing, but all of a sudden they all quit and they all get startled, because these bushes are shaking behind Muskrat and Skunk. And all of a sudden the bear peeks his head out of this bush. And Muskrat and Skunk, they're unaware of it, you know, they're beating on the drum, and eventually they get a good rhythm going, and it's going doom, 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 you know, a steady rhythm. So everybody's dancing. But when Bear pokes his head out, they all fly away and they run away. And here Bear comes out. When Bear comes out, he's upright and he's proud. His head's in the air and everything. He's just dancing. And all the animals see that Bear's dancing. So they all come and they get behind him, because the dangerous part of a bear is in front of him. So they gather behind him. And they all start circling in this big path, and they all start doing this circle. And eventually the buffaloes are there, the elk, all the animals of the world are there dancing and everything. And Muskrat and Skunk, they just continue to beat on their drum, you know, this rhythm going, you know. And at the end, the other animals gather in. But all stories of the Lakota people, I think all stories of traditional people throughout the world, have a fun part, but they also have a lesson. And this lesson is that beating is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And that's what we hear today when we're at our powwows and we're beating our drum, is the heartbeat.
Definitely. What a great way to teach tradition, culture, you know, the passing on of not only the oral history, but the lessons behind those oral histories. So great book. We're going to take a break and have a word from our sponsors. When we get back, we'll hear a little bit about another work of Mr. Montileaux's called Tashunka, another children's book. So we'll be back after these messages.
Closed captioning for Oyate Today, brought to you by West River Ear, Nose, and Throat.
Clark had joint replacement surgery 6 months ago. To his grandson, he is still the MVP. Black Hills Surgical Hospital, bringing more life to your years.
You know, it's really busy in the coffee house, not just in the morning, but all day long. And it's really important that we serve our customers hot coffee that's ready for them when they're ready for it.
We get that, Michelle. And our team at Black Hills Energy will make sure you have the electricity you need to keep that Java nice and hot. Speaking of hot Java, how about a cup for the road? Black Hills Energy. Life sponsored by Energy.
When I'm here, I win.
This fall, with a stay-and-play package, one great price lets you experience the best that Prairie Wind has to offer. Great gaming, delicious food, and a one-night stay. Only $99.99 Sunday through Thursday, $149.99 Friday and Saturday. Only at
Prairie Wind Casino. Feel the wind.
Native Sun News has been voted the best weekly newspaper in its class for 2015 by the South Dakota and North Dakota Newspaper Associations. You can find a copy of the Native Sun News at many businesses and vending machines in Rapid City and the surrounding area, and on all 9 reservations. We publish every Wednesday, so advertisers and subscribers can reach our diverse readership by calling 605-721-1266. The Native Sun News covers the other side of the story.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Our guest tonight is Mr. Donald F. Montileaux, Zinkala Z, Yellowbird. Thank you once again, sir, for being here. Before the break, we were talking about oral histories, traditional storytelling, and one of the books that you have published and produced in the past is Tashunka. And if you could tell me a little bit, well, first of all, the horse plays a very special role in your art.
Oh.
It's very prevalent in your pieces. And if you could tell me a little bit about what the horse means to you traditionally, spiritually, and in your life. So.
Okay. Well, what a loaded question. Do we have all night?
Yeah.
Now, I think my father was the first one that really influenced me because he was a horseman. He loved training horses, and everybody said that, you know, if they wanted a good horse, they come to my dad. So throughout my life, I rode a lot of horses. I rode green broke horses. I rode horses that were well broke, you know, and everything, you know. But so I got a good relationship with my dad, and he would put me on a horse, and 5 minutes later, I would get off that horse and say, well, okay, how is that horse? What'd you feel about that horse? And I'd say, well, he's got a real good back, you know, I like the way he moves, you know, I like the way he settles down. But my dad showed me how to do those things, you know, and I could judge a horse in 3 minutes. I could throw my leg over the top of a horse and I could feel this horse. Mm-hmm. And all through my life, I've always rode horses that I knew if they were going to buck me off, or if I knew if they were going to let my granddaughter jump on him or something like that, you know. Yeah. I think horses have a real intelligence that if you listen to that intelligence, you learn so much more about a horse. You know, my therapy still today is to go down to at Kyle, South Dakota, where I'm from, and just getting my horses in and just brushing them off and just feeling them and just holding them and the closeness that you have with them. You know, spiritually, or they're my buddies. You know, and they do what I ask them to do, and sometimes it's a little bit impossible because we do live in the Badlands and sometimes it's rainy and slick. Sure. But if you got that trust in them, they'll give that back to you. So, but it was encouraging not only by my dad, but I have a muse as well too, and that's Herman Red Elk, and he's passed a long time now. But Herman told me traditionally how those horses interacted with people and with warriors, and with women as well too. But they became a unit. They became one in battle. So that horse basically knew all the moves that warrior was doing just through probably leg movement and knees and stuff like that. So all those things, all those feelings and those teachings have been incorporated into my drawings. So when I do a horse, my horses probably are not capable of stretching as much as my horses stretch, but mentally and they can do that. And my horses don't lope or gallop, my horses fly. And so they don't have hooves. My horses fly, because that's a lesson Herman taught me as well too.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about Tashunka, a Lakota horse legend. I understand that, Alex Whiteplume had some influence in your storytelling. So could you tell me a little bit about that?
You know, Alex is a wonderful man. He's a great storyteller. He's well respected within the tribe itself. And we had the opportunity to take 20 individuals from throughout the United States and show them different sites in the Black Hills, and eventually we ended up on Alex's ranch down at Manderson. And we took these individuals, and Alex, he knew horses as well too, and he read these people and he would put them on a horse that he thought they would be the most attuned to the good relationships with. But for 3 days, we rode horseback out in the Badlands on all this land, and then in the evening time, we'd come back and would sit in teepees, and would have traditional meals, and then would tell stories, and would sing, and would have round dances. It was just a really cultural enrichment type thing. And Alex told a story about the horse that night, one night, and it kind of just pulled back from my memory that my grandmas and my grandpas used to tell me the story as well too. And so I thought, God, I got to write that story down. You know, I don't want to lose it, you know. And so I asked Alex one time, I said, Alex, can I write that story? Can I make it into a book? And he says, no. He said, traditionally storytellers tell these stories. We don't write them down. We're there to tell them. And I said, Alex, I said, our people are all over the world. How can we, as storytellers, get to all of them without a book? And so he let me do it, but he wasn't really 100% behind me. Sure. So I took the book, I wrote it, I came back to Alex with it because I wanted him to translate the book into Lakota. And Alex was so busy at that time, he was doing so many different things. So I got Agnes Gay, who's the assistant archivist at Kyle at OLC, to do the book. And she's been traditional ever since she was born. She's been fluent in Lakota. Sure. And so this is everyday Lakota that's in this book. So it's in English as well as Lakota. I took it back to Alex once the book was finished, and he finally gave me approval. But if you know about Alex and his family, they're a big family. And they like to eat donuts. So every time I'd go down there, and this is not every kind of donut, it's got to be Jerry's Cake and Donuts, you know. 3 dozen donuts, that's what Alex's family can eat. So I'd go down with my 3 dozen donuts. And the last time I did this, Alex looked at it. I came back 2 weeks later after he had really read it and stuff like that. And he said, sit down. And when an elder tells you to sit down, you sit down. Sure. And he says, I got another story for you. It's called Muskrat and Skunk. Oh. And so he gave me the stamp of approval. And he also said was that, well, you know, maybe you're the one that's supposed to do this. You know, and God, those words are so strong, because coming from an individual who I respect so much, really gave me
to give his blessing. And very powerful. Definitely.
It's almost like the Pope, you know, going Dominus.
Blessing your work. And not only that, but it shows the artistry and what you put into it as far as the respect for the story as well as the respect for the art. So, and the storytelling, the traditional storytelling. So you yourself made that happen as well. So we're going to take another break here. When we get back, we'll discuss a little bit more about your current, what you're working on currently, some of the projects that you have going on. I also understand that you have a studio here in Prairie Edge, so we'll talk a little bit about your work. So we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
If Youth and Family Services weren't available in this community, there would be a lot of unmet basic needs. Very few organizations do as good a job as Youth and Family Services, getting every ounce of usefulness out of people's time, their dollars that they donate.
Youth and Family Services help so many kids. It's a great value to the community.
Join me because together we help kids.
When discrimination happens in our community, and it does happen,
then it's time to stand up and speak out to make it stop.
Discrimination hurts and excludes.
We can be better than that.
People of Black Hills have a connection to each other, and none of us deserve discrimination.
The Rapid City Human Relations Commission can help with discrimination issues in housing, employment, and public accommodations. And each of us, when we see it or hear it, can do our part to end discrimination.
You have a responsibility to stand up and speak out.
Being connected to him with the earth.
Positive pride. Pride of being Lakota.
Look around you and look at your culture. Look at the people who care about you. There is hope. There is always hope. There will always be hope.
Suicide isn't the Lakota way. If someone you know needs help, please call 867-HOPE, a public service message from the Lakota Voice Project.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Once again, our guest tonight is Mr. Donald F. Montileaux, Zinkala Z, Yellowbird, an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Oglala Lakota artist. Thank you, Mr. Montileaux, once again for sharing your stories and some of your legacy with us.
It's fun.
You know, we talked a little bit about some of the influences in your life, but can we talk about some of the artists who have influenced your life and opened the doors for your career and others?
Sure. You know, first of all, I always have to revert back to my dad because he always wanted to be an artist, but I think the period that he grew up in didn't let him be an artist. He had to work hard to sustain a life and a living. But my hero was always Oscar Howe. Sure. He's everything I wanted to be. When I looked at that man, he was a family man, he was an art educator, and he was an artist. Mm-hmm. And I thought if I could be any one of those three things, that'd be great. Yeah. And so I got the opportunity to study under Oscar for 2 summers as a sophomore and a junior in high school. And I went down with Herman Ridout, who eventually became my real muse and my real mentor. But Oscar was so cool because he was the professor of fine arts at the University of South Dakota. And he really took me underneath his wing. I don't know why, but he kind of liked me, you know, and Herman was there as well too, you know, and they both had for that whole period of time, they've always been there for me. The other ones that have always been there for me too is another one that's passed on now is Bobby Penn. And the other one is still here with us is Arthur Amiot. Those two guys, you know, I feel personally that Oscar Howe probably cracked the door open and got his foot into the door of the arts world for Native people. And I think Bobby Penn and Arthur Amiot, they nudged their shoulders in there and they pushed it a little bit further. And here I come along, you know, and there's a series of us, you know, there's like Dwayne Wilcox, there's Jim Yellowhawk, there's Roger Brower, you know, there's Paul and Linda Zabel, you know, there's such a mammoth amount of artists my age that have taken advantage of those three, and we've actually shoved that door pretty wide open. And Martin Redberry, you know, we go to shows throughout the United States, and some of us even show internationally. Mm-hmm. And that door has been opened really wide, but now we got a whole new young group of kids, you know, coming kids, they're young men.
That's actually what I was going to ask about, because a part of your, career, a part of what you feel is important for the arts and such is mentorship and giving back. And if you could tell me a little bit about what role that plays in your life. I understand you also go to even elementary schools and do presentations. So if you can talk a little bit about that and what that means to you.
Yeah, and I, I think our circle is, as Native people, we always have that circle, and if our circle is running smooth, it's great, But I think I learned from Oscar and Herman and Arthur and Bobby, that giving back is so essential. And so I call them young guys. They're not young guys, they're in their 30s. They got families and stuff like that. But I have like Keith Braveheart, Henry Pear, I have Jennifer White, and I have Robert Martinez and Wade Patton. And I have those individuals that I try to help and try to assist, try to make the road a little bit smoother for them, maybe not as crooked as mine was, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, so, we was with the hippies and, the Indian movement was going on, AIM was happening, So there was a lot of things that was influencing the way that I lived, And so those guys need to have that experience. They need to have that education of how we evolved as artists, what Native means, because they're out there and they're experimenting with so many new things. They've got computers, they've got cameras, they've got dance, they've got music, they got rap. I mean, they're all into all that stuff, but let's not get too far away from tradition. Let's not lose tradition. Let's keep that. So that's what, all the other guys that I mentioned prior to that, like, they're all doing the same thing I'm doing. But we're all giving back. We're all giving it back. And young people today, I write my books for K through 4. That's my focal point, And I love to look at our little ones when they're looking up at you, and they're just so young and so innocent, And kindergartners, I get down on the floor. I sit down on the floor and I read to them. So we're eye to eye, And then when I get to junior high level, I want to have a little bit more power over them. So I stand up, So I make them look up at me, Yeah. But it's all psychological, You play the game, But in the end, I come in as Mr. Montileaux. I come in as this guy who's got some praise to him and stuff like that. But when I leave as Don. And when I leave, I carry my stuff in, but when I leave, I have all kinds of little helpers. They're all holding something. They want to help me. And I think when that happens, I got to them. I made new friends. Yeah. So I'm proud of that.
Well, Mr. Montileaux, I want to thank you for being our guest tonight. That's our show, and thank you for making Oyate today a part of your night. And thanks you once again, Mr. Montileaux, for being here with us and sharing your story. You've been watching Oyate Today, brought to you by Native Sun News Today.